Let's talk about the 7Cs and why I sail on it a lot. Before we get to all of that, huge thanks to my wonderful supporters, my patrons, donators, etc. You can support this channel by checking the links down below, but the best way to support me is to check out my stream channel APB show link down below every Saturday 7 p.m. Eastern time, where you can drop $1 and I'll give you a live and direct shout out. Oh, by the way, I'm being a huge dingus on my last week's stream and I overshoot my date. It's supposed to be APB 50, that's one day late, not 49. This week is 49 and that's the same schedule as always, and next week is 50 where we're going to be one day late. Family holiday stuff. Sorry, I'm being a big dummy. That actually rhymes. Now, I've said a lot of times before that I am a... Shut up! Now, I've said a lot of times before that I am a filthy pirate. I love to sail the 7Cs to get whatever goods that I find interesting. And if I have to be honest with you, most of that is just so that I can get stuff for free. Most of that. We'll get to other reasons in a bit. But first, let me provide you with some context. I live in a third world country, Indonesia. It's very easy to spot on the map. I'm just right at the top of the land down under. And Indonesia's economy is screwed, especially in current year. I'm actually lucky to have a job as a middle school teacher, which is why you're not seeing any of my typical videos from me. I spend most of my daily routines going to school and teaching the next generations of children in technology so that they know how to use them and don't get scammed and all of that, which is basically what I'm doing right now to you guys. And I do it to all of you guys for free. I earn my income from that daily work, but I also earn income from streams, Patreon, PayPal, etc. Seriously, thank you so much, guys. You guys are amazing. I paid for all sorts of bills. I paid for food. I paid for gas and electricity. I paid for my car's monthly installment, or at least some of them. I live with my 3 siblings, and I paid a good chunk of the stuff that they use. I stream with my brother, and I also paid him so that he can learn how to save money and earn money for himself. All of that are much more essential investments to make than video games or a TV subscription. I just don't have money left to buy games or films or any of that stuff. Nor do I have the time to play games, frankly speaking. The latest game that I played was Breath of the Wild using Simu, and I modded that so that I can play as Linkle and not get bothered with stamina. I love PC gaming. The most significant investments that I make nowadays are the hardwares, because that's what really matters. I bought a bunch of headphones and earphones, which I talk about in my last video. I actually bought the Anker Soundcore Q20 Plus, which is the last gen model out of the Q30, but it's updated with Type-C charging. I also bought a work laptop, which I actually need because bringing my gaming laptop all the time to my workplace is genuinely freaking tiresome. And it's a cheap investment that does most of the basic stuff that I need. I just need Office and browsing. That's it. This one does the job. Not super fast, but it does. I don't even need Windows on it because Windows is being garbage to potato PCs like this. Linux does all of the job just fine with free and open source softwares. I talk about that more in another video. Point is, my life is busy and tiresome and exhausting like everyone else's, and I can spend my money to other better stuff that are, in my opinion, much better investments and much more tangible investments. I mean, I have way too many headphones, granted, I admit that, but at least with the headphones, I can actually feel them and wear them and use them, unlike NFTs, which are just overly expensive digitally signed stuff. Kizuna? And here's my second reason to pirate. Corporations are garbage. They can make the absolute worst of the worst garbage and think that they can just get away with them. Netflix, for example, can't help but to release and license garbage. Funimation and Crunchyroll can't help but to find ways to ruin animes. Toei puts hundreds and thousands of copy strikes on videos even though they're fair use. The big 3 console manufacturers make good stuff, but they also make garbage. Lots and lots of game publishers, especially from the big AAA landscapes, also tend to publish garbage. There are actually several solutions for this. I, for example, can find alternatives. These are third-party Joy-Cons from Dobe. I had it on my brother's room, but my brother's room is locked for some reason. I bought these because my official Nintendo Joy-Cons, which are like $100 a pair here, are broken. Like, several times. Not just drifting, but their SR and SL buttons, the ones on the side, they're always broken. I have no idea why. And every single time I try to pair them just by single I hate it. So I bought these for a quarter of the price. They might not be as good as the official products, but I just want some new working Joy-Cons. I just want some new working Joy-Cons that have motion sensors that can be used to play Mario Party. And these Joy-Cons fit the bill. There are so many alternatives out there. But the thing is, I do like some of the hardwares that these console manufacturers make, like the Xbox One controller and the DualShock 4. I really love the DualShock 4. I think this is my favorite controller. It's so versatile. I can pretty much connect to almost anything. I also really love the back button attachment. I really think this is a really good investment. It's just really helpful, especially in like Breath of the Wild, where you have to sprint using either the top button or the bottom button, wherever it's the B and the X. Yeah, B and the X. Either of those buttons. I just bind it to the buttons in the back. Very convenient. I really like these. And this supports motion sensor on CMU. It's freaking insane. I love this. But here's the thing about these hardwares. I don't buy these directly from their websites, from Sony's website or any of the official retailers. I bought them locally from independent retailers, small to medium businesses, online or offline, that are run by like 10 people at most, that are focusing on enthusiast hobbies like these. A little story with this headphone. I bought this Anker Soundcore Q20 Plus headphone for about $80, which is a steal for a noise canceling Bluetooth headphone like this. Sounds great, cancels noise at $80. I love it. I totally rate these, to quote DangPods. The shop says that it's an official retailer, but here's the thing. At one point, I want to buy some micro HDMI to normal HDMI cables, and I went to the shop there myself because I just so happened to be nearby. And I was shocked at how small the shop was. And yet they sell all of these really cool gadgets and stuff. I'm actually a regular customer, and I bought a lot of stuff from them. A lot of the stuff that I bought are from non-official independent retailers. The Shure SM57 microphone, the one that I'm using right now. The DualShock 4, the control that I've been using for pretty much forever. The boom arm that lets me to make the microphone closer to me. Even my phone, the Samsung M51, I bought this from a local retailer. And I can also get stuff secondhand, like this laptop where the owner doesn't use it that often, and now I have it, and I use it that often. Local businesses are seriously starving for customers, and since I'm the one that earns the money, the least I can do is to compensate them. Support your local businesses. That's just how it is. Here's also another example. Persona 5 Royale. I'm not a fan of the direction that Atlus does with the series. I'm not paying $60 just for a freaking expansion. I just wouldn't buy this at full price, especially knowing that Atlus and PlayStation get most of the money. My brother, however, wants to play this game. Not the original Persona 5, which I already have, but he just wants to play the Royale version just because he's kind of curious in how it changes from the original. Now, I could have bought it off of PSN directly, but I didn't because I don't want to give Sony and Atlus too much money for what's basically an overpriced expansion pack. So, he bought it locally from a small gaming shop in Jakarta that also do business online. He bought this for $40. 2/3 of the price, and most of them go to the local retailer. Yes, sometimes the products are from companies that I'm actually not a fan of, but at least most of the money goes into the local retailers right here. I don't want these local retailers to fail. I want them to succeed, especially in these trying times. They don't get to choose what they sell based on their preference. They have to sell the good stuff and also the crap. They have to sell them because there are people who might buy them, even if they're selling garbage. I don't need to buy from official retailers when there are people selling them through local non-official retailers or just selling them secondhand, and sometimes at much cheaper prices. I know some of you are gonna be like, just buy the games, man, support the developers who made the game. Well, here's the thing. The money doesn't always go to them, and I have proof. Activision Blizzard has proven that most of that money that you spend to their games go to Bobby Kotick, who is their top tier scum. He gets way too much money while the rest of the workers and developers got laid off. They got stranded, fired, harassed, and much worse, abused. If you want to support the actual developers of these games, check out the credits. All games have a credit section. They're even being very specific on what they worked on, so you know who are working on the good stuff and who are working on the bad stuff. Search for their names, give them your personal thanks, and send them money. So if you think the overall game is crap, but the sound design is great, go support the sound team. But even so, the company behind Metroid Dread refused to credit some of the devs, so you'd still have to question the validity of the names that pop up in the credit, because game companies these days are absolute scum, seriously. Regardless, if these game devs make other stuff on the side that's totally 100% their own and they get most of the share of the purchase, buy them. Lots of game developers like game designers, artists, and sound engineers do stuff on the side, and they would appreciate it if you support them directly. Seriously, you game developers need to start opening up your own donation box. PayPal, Patreon, whatever it is. I have a feeling that most companies don't let you do things on the side because of contractual obligations and you have to focus on your current job. I'm pretty sure a PayPal account isn't a second job. And that brings me to the third reason why I sell the 7Cs. The stuff that I got from the 7Cs are all 100% mine. No strings attached. No need for some stupid internet connection or arbitrary DRM verifications. After I downloaded it and saved it on my drive, it's all mine, and I can copy it and replicate it as much as I like. I already talked about this in another video, but let me summarize it as much as I can because this is getting more and more annoying as time goes on. Big companies that sell games and softwares won't let you to actually own the softwares. You own the license to use the softwares and download the softwares, but if their servers went out or they straight up discontinued the softwares, you're out of luck. The softwares that you bought, poof, all gone. For example, Steam is a very popular digital distribution market. A lot of games that you bought will be registered on your account. But if Steam decides to shut down the entire thing, if Steam decides that your account should be banned for one reason after another, all of the games that you have on Steam, on the account, gone. Full stop. The games that you got from the 7Cs, they're all cracked, standalone, no internet required. It's all yours, and you can install it as many times as you like. Be glad that Steam is popular and everyone still uses it. What if you own a console, especially older consoles like the PS3? Sony isn't going to support the PS3 for very long, or any of their portable consoles, especially. If you own a bunch of GameCube games, Nintendo doesn't really care about them. They only care about a select few GameCube games. So all of that time and money that you invested on a GameCube is totally worthless unless you still have a working console that Nintendo totally discontinued. All of this can be solved through emulation and jailbreaking, which I already did a video on a while back. Emulation and jailbreaking actually guarantees you owning the actual ROM of the game and actually having the ability to play the game with little to no issues. All online transactions these days require accounts, and if you forgot your password or your account got banned or hacked, your game progress and the purchases that you made will be gone too. Even when you're buying physical, it can cause a lot of problems. The problem with buying physical is that the physical versions are usually the older versions of the games, and you have to download the additional gigabytes of patches, and even then, sometimes the game is still broken. All of that waiting just to get a broken game anyway on release, because game companies these days would choose to release broken products into the masses first and then patch them later. Then there are streaming services. Oh boy. One of the biggest issues that streaming services face is the fact that they can't have all the shows in the world due to licensing issues. One streaming service can't have one show because it's owned by another streaming service and it's exclusive there, and that particular streaming service cannot have a show from this particular streaming service because it's only exclusive there. All of that BS. A couple of shows are region locked or censored or have their subtitles butchered by overworked and abused translators that got paid in peanuts for their contribution. What you end up with is having to pay multiple subscriptions for streaming services, and that amounts to a ridiculous number of bills that could have been better spent on literally anything else. Some shows are not available anywhere at all. Not in any streaming services, not on Blu-rays or DVDs. Even if you have the show on Blu-rays or DVDs, they probably have some stupid limitations. The 7Cs completely bypass the issues. You own the shows, you own the seasons, you own the episodes, you own the movies, you control what shows enter your hard drive and what show doesn't. I found the entirety of Ultraman Gaia, one of my favorite childhood shows, in the 7Cs. I can copy and paste the episodes to my phone or have these episodes streamed to LAN by having my laptop as my media server and then stream it to my phone. It's amazing. And once you downloaded all the episodes, no need for more downloads. You're done. You owned it. That's yours. And since the files are saved locally, there's little to no buffering at all. And since files are saved locally, there's no buffering at all. The only investment that you need to do is a big enough storage to store all of those TV shows and movies and all of that, or SD card to put all of the shows in. I have a 400 gigabyte SD card on my phone that stores like lots and lots of TV shows and lots of movies. It's amazing. And those are the three primary reasons why I sell the 7Cs. But just because I sell the 7Cs doesn't mean that I never put money on games. I have loads and loads of games on Steam. I'm just very picky with my purchases because a lot of these games are pretty expensive. I'm willing to put my criticisms on Epic Game Store aside because Hitman 3 is so amazing and I totally 100% support the developers, especially with them going on their own. Neon Falcom is one of my favorite game companies that made the Trail Saga, which is my all-time favorite series, and I bought all the games that I can possibly buy, and I will continue to support the rest of the Trail series as time goes on. Some of the stuff that I already use are free right out of the box. GIMP and Inkscape are two softwares that I use all the time because they're free, and for my specific use case, they are excellent alternatives to other proprietary and not to mention costly graphic design softwares. The whole script of this video is written in WPS Office, which is free. And of course, Linux, the one go-to solution for free and open source operating system that is totally 100% fully customizable to however I want it. I just want to browse the internet and write documents, and Linux does the job perfectly while offering long-term support and better performance than Windows. One website that I used to go to is a website called Crackwatch, which just catalogs the recent games that got cracked, but unfortunately that website is taken down. Thankfully, there's a subreddit also named Crackwatch that monitors games that have been cracked. Lots and lots of posts in there where you can see the games that have been cracked and the providers of the cracks. There are lots of subreddits dedicated to piracy too. Sadly, a lot of these games that got cracked are from indie developers, as in people that you should be supporting and paying money to. If you notice a game that got cracked in there and you tried it and it's awesome, please go support the developers and actually buy the game. There are games that look interesting there that I tried and I love it so much I ended up buying them for real just so that I can support the developers. That happened to me with City Skylines. I tried it, I loved it, then I bought it. Still a great game. The games that are not cracked yet are from big corporations who can actually spend a lot of time and money to license and slap uncrackable DRMs like Danufo in their games so that no one can freaking crack it until like months later. These are the games that have lots and lots of money being put in so much unnecessary stuff like marketing, celebrity cast, lots and lots of game developers being overworked, underpaid, and straight up harassed and abused, and all of that for the exact same game in the flipping series. Don't give money to any of these garbage, and since time is money, you might as well take a step further and don't give them any of your time and spend it on other much better stuff. And those are all the reasons why I sailed the 7Cs. Hopefully in my next video, I can show you how I sailed the 7Cs and teach you guys to rebel against the big corporations and most importantly, save up your money to buy something else and to spend it on something that's much better and to give it to people who actually deserve it much better. Thank you so much for watching. You can support me through the links down below, but I personally recommend going to my stream channel and donate it there to get a live shout out Saturday 7 p.m. Eastern Time.